I kind of just want to present an experience I suppose I had this semester with students, and we obviously had the challenge of COVID and not having any live labs on campus, and the the context of the module that I was teaching was basically around preparing student teachers. So I teach in the School of Education in UL, and I'm mainly involved lecturing modules for engineering and technology teachers. And one of the modules that the first years do is kind of a module where they do some core kind of content knowledge on developing knowledge of electronics and controls, and thinking about that in the context of going out to teach that in second level. And obviously the challenges then that we have are the challenges then that we have are basically around we had no access to labs, so we had to shift things to an online teaching environment. We appreciate the need for a tactile experience, and how we were going to balance that and try and create some sort of tactile experience for students that were trying to learn from home, and a need to try and collaborate, create an opportunity for students to collaborate with their peers. And I suppose I didn't put the word try into the title of my presentation because we're trying here, and unfortunately I don't have all the answers, but maybe just sharing this experience might help give people some kind of tips. So just kind of thinking about learning and distance learning, I suppose, because we were thrown into that that kind of area when the pandemic started, and just considering the relationships, and these were kind of things that I thought about in the design of the module, and just looking at the relationship between the learner and the instructor, the learner and the content itself, and the instructor and the content, and how we're presenting the content, and trying to help students engage with it and develop it and understand it and ultimately apply it. So that was kind of in the back of my mind as well. The module itself had 62 students, like I said, an emphasis on electronics and control technologies, and basically preparing students for kind of becoming aware of what kind of technology is out there, what's available, and how they can help young people relate to it and help them apply it to kind of problems that we're faced with, and the wider kind of impact of technology on life, and how this is how this impacts the students, their daily lives and their interactions with one another, and more generally how it's just pervaded its way into the way we do things. So all of this in terms of the content and stuff is directly in line with a shift of curriculum at second level, where there is more emphasis on technologies, robotic technologies and so on, and how they are how they're being utilized. So we as teacher educators had to try and make sure that students were getting experience of that content and in a meaningful kind of way. So the challenge then was, of course, we had a series of lectures, and the students preferred those live from semester one, so we kind of did those mostly live. The labs, we tried to do live labs, relatively speaking, as well, and some were kind of pre-recorded or very instructional based, but we tried to focus on instruction, kind of knowledge acquisition and application, and also kind of collaboration amongst themselves as well. And basically just want to talk to you about how I did these labs, and how and Kieran Dunn, who was with the TA who helped me on this as well, and how we implemented it and tried to create some sort of experience for students while they were obviously operating remotely. So like I was saying there, the instruction and the focus on the instruction, there was opportunities there in terms of the labs to use software and also hardware, and give live instruction. I have a visualizer set up here, and I have a desk with lots of components on it here, and I'm able to instruct and create instructional videos from there and pre-record. So they were uploaded to our learning platform on SULIS, and they help students engage with the content as well. Also, we had supports around kind of the acquisition of knowledge in terms of a lab workbook and creating a kind of problem scenarios through that kind of workbook, and that helps students kind of take the knowledge that they would have learned and try and apply it, and they were able to work with that. So I'll go through these in a bit more detail, and then we try to provide collaborative kind of live interactions as well to help students kind of feel connected, and also very conscious of the idea that students, these are first year students, and they're trying to develop an identity as teacher educators and want to be part of a cohort, and that as we can only imagine, can be quite difficult when they're not having the full on-campus experience in UL. So the idea of the virtual and the tactile as well, I was quite conscious of that at the start, that you can give students some kind of virtual experience through, and there's numerous softwares and ways of things, but students had to make a small €20 investment where they were able to buy some kind of equipment online, and it allowed them to experiment physically as well at home and kind of follow on some of the instruction that we're giving them as well. So they had that tactile experience, and I think that the importance of that is quite is evident, that it helps students understand better. It helps problem solving when you have a physical tactile element to it. Although the virtual simulations were also very useful and effective as well. I'm only kind of going through the labs, but they have another element to this module where they look at application of this and create a conceptual design. So they'd look at these kind of electronic systems and look at where they can integrate them to help solve problems. So how, for example, the flex sensor there on the left hand side can actually be used maybe in a scenario to help an elderly person control maybe a door or something like that, or control help them with devices around the home or something like that. So we try and contextualize it then as kind of how they can apply this technology as well in other elements of the module. Again, the instruction, everything is recorded, even though a lot of stuff is delivered live, it is recorded and it's given it's fed up onto SULIS then, so it gives students the opportunity to go back. And I think we've heard that from the students earlier today, that it's important to give them an opportunity to go back and digest the stuff, because there's a lot of stuff thrown at them in 5 or 6 modules each week, and can be hard for them to digest. So having that repository to go back on is a big plus. Again, there's tutorial notes to support them as well, and students provide us then kind of digital videos, voiceovers, and their code and so on for the actual exercises that they do, and that is very beneficial for them, because they get feedback from us through SULIS as well, and kind of on a weekly basis. So the collaboration, this worked so well, and we tried in the labs as well to facilitate kind of breakout rooms, get the students kind of collaborating and thinking about problems together, and they actually wanted more opportunities to do this, even though it was very much focused on instruction and kind of gathering knowledge for them. But it did work well in instances, and we were able to use tools as simple as the breakout rooms in Microsoft Teams to help kind of facilitate that collaboration in some way. The feedback was excellent for a lot of the cohort, and it was great to see, and it was very reassuring, and the students really enjoyed it, and to hear the things that they mentioned and come true was very good as well, and things were practical and informative, and the live as well, I think, is just they really appreciated it, and it was just easy for them to ask questions and so on as well. It really was a learning curve for myself as well, and in terms of trying to engage them and stuff, and while a lot of this was very positive, some things are obviously there to improve on in the future as well. But I just can't get over how much they appreciated the live, and that came through from semester 1 and semester 2 for the first years as well. So that was good, and it was nice to hear for them in that respect as well. So to kind of conclude on things, just from the student's perspective, the using a kind of physical tactile element really aided students. That kind of came through in the feedback as well. The virtual experience can limit understanding and it can present difficulties maybe in future when they're trying to operate with hardware and equipment and stuff as well. So this mode of delivery offers flexibility and makes us, I suppose, think about how we're kind of delivering our modules and content. And there's some opportunity for collaboration in the online space as well for students, and they kind of appreciated that. It also led to kind of informal or incidental kind of things happening, and lots of students telling me about them kind of giving each other Teams calls and so on. And I think the more familiar they became with Teams and just calling, attending meetings on Teams, it kind of encouraged them to do it themselves and ring each other up and just share things with each other. So that was a positive to hear as well. From the module leader perspective and from Kieran's perspective as well, it can be time consuming, and the preparation and the feedback, although we have a lot of resources prepared, it can be you can be wrecked at the end of a week, let's say. Again, some students were unable to engage, and that presents its difficulties for all reasons. Connection issue. Time's up, Paddy. Okay, thanks. Yeah, and authenticating the students' work as well it can present difficulties when they're doing an online space. So thank you very much, and yep, cheers. Thanks a million, Paddy. Bang on time. So thank you. I think